All right, let's go through a list of things. Boston and Gordon Hayward. What's happening?
Well, there are a lot of people around the league think it's done, he's going there. But Utah feels confident that they're keeping him. So I think ultimately it's still kind of where it was a few weeks ago, where people don't know exactly what's going to happen. I think a lot of it depends on what happens with the draft. You know, if you take Jason Tatum or Josh Jackson, does that, lead you not to spend that money on Gordon Hayward?
Well, does it affect what's the Porzingis situation? What'd you make of those rumors?
Well, what happened was this. Obviously, Porzingis is not happy there.
Right.
He didn't meet. We know he didn't meet with the Knicks for an end of season meeting. So, rightly so, teams around the league are saying, "Hey, maybe this guy's available," and so they started calling the Knicks and offering some good stuff. I'm told, I don't have the specifics, but I was told that they actually got some pretty good offers. The Knicks were looking at it like, we're going to listen, but it would have to be something that completely blows them away to give up on Porzingis. So I'm told it's not happening, although, you never say never. It had to be a great deal, but they still have a problem, even though they're going to keep Porzingis from everything I'm hearing.
Yeah, bad contracts and no draft picks.
Well, beyond that, Phil Jackson, there's still a problem there with him and Porzingis. And Porzingis doesn't like the way things are being run and some of the way Phil acts. And obviously his situation with Melo. Porzingis is looking at Melo as a star in the league. He'd love to be Melo one day. And he's seeing the way he's being treated. So, but they're going to trade Melo. That's going to happen too. They're not going to buy him out. So the talk about the Knicks buying him out, him going to Cleveland for the minimum, that's not happening. But he will be good chance he'll be moved. They're really intent on that.
Okay, I'll throw my theory out, and I've given this to everybody. Stories today that Jimmy Butler's being told by Cavaliers stay away. This is LeBron's way of forcing, because LeBron called D-Wade, gave that information, tell Butler don't come here. It's LeBron's way of forcing Dan Gilbert to get Paul George, who he doesn't want to get because he'll be gone in a year. But LeBron is forcing, because he thinks accurately that Paul George matches up better with the Warriors. And so LeBron, in the ear of Butler, says, don't come here, forcing Gilbert to have to bring Paul George in.
Wow. I hadn't thought. Look, it's interesting. The Cavs are still in play for both of those guys. A few people have told me, like, nobody's confirmed to me that Butler is being told don't go there. So those two guys are still in play. Indiana and Chicago don't want Kevin Love. Neither one of them. They don't. So
that's an edge for the Lakers, because I thought Kevin Love's a lot better than what the Lakers offer.
I'm with you. If I'm Indiana, I'm happy to get Kevin Love as a consolation prize for Paul George. From what I'm being told, they don't want Kevin Love. That's why Cleveland is also trying to engage Phoenix.
Okay, now Phoenix is an interesting player. They have multiple draft picks, and by the way, they got to start winning games there.
Yes.
They have to start.
Enough for the rebuild, right? Yep.
So do they like Kevin Love?
Yeah, they like Kevin Love, and I love Kevin Love there. I mean, like Kevin Love, Devin Booker. If I'm them, I'd like to keep Eric Bledsoe with Booker and Kevin Love. But they could end up moving Bledsoe. He could end up being a guy that goes to Chicago or to Indiana. But yeah, Love is just what the doctor ordered in Phoenix. I mean, he go there, he give them good numbers. What would they give the
Pacers?
Well, I personally, the talk is of the 4th pick. I don't know if I see Phoenix giving that up.
The 4th pick and some player for Kevin Love.
Maybe Bledsoe, that's a lot to give up for Kevin Love. But Kevin Love is probably better than what you may get with that 4th pick.
If I'm Kevin Pritchard and I run the Pacers and I can go to Herb Simon.
You can get the 4th pick, right?
I get the 4th pick and Eric Bledsoe?
Yeah.
That's better than what the Lakers are offering me.
I totally agree. I don't think, unless the Lakers are giving up the 2 or Brandon Ingram, which I wouldn't do for Paul George, then I don't like what they have to offer if I'm Indiana.
What did you make of the Lakers situation yesterday, what they did?
Look, I have to give it to Magic and Rob Pelinka. They're doing a great job so far, right? Don't you think?
Listen, that Mozgov contract was owning a Hummer that doesn't start.
Yes.
It was an abscessed tooth. this position's dying. He can't play, and the contract was awful. I mean, Brook Lopez can play. He's actually a modern center, and he's done in a year.
Exactly. That's the main thing about
heist.
If I had to keep – now, he's way better than Mozgov.
Oh, God, not close.
But if I had to keep him long-term, I might be a little hesitant on that, Lopez. But to your point, he's got 1 year left. And if he has a great year here, maybe you keep him.
Restructure it.
Yeah. But they have enough room now to get Paul George and another superstar. D'Angelo, we know where it was headed with him. I'm surprised Brooklyn wants to kind of turn over the franchise to him. We know how much, he loved L.A. Is he going to be a problem in New York?
If he loved L.A., then work out, grow up, and be a better player.
Yeah. Look, he's still got talent.
Yeah.
And he's actually a very good, I don't want to say cautionary tale, but just how much we hype these draft picks. Remember, 2 years ago, everybody was in love with D'Angelo Russell. Last year, everybody's in love with Chris Dunn, and now they're trade bait.
You know what happens? I've heard this from scouts. The problem in college basketball is coaches dominate the flow of a game. So was D'Angelo Russell good? How much was Thad Matta? How often was D'Angelo allowed for a 7-minute stint on the floor to do anything he wanted? The NBA is overwhelmingly let guards control the tempo and the plays. You don't hear a lot of coaches barking stuff until you get to the end of quarters, end of games. But what happens now is like D'Angelo Russell comes out, and how often does Thad Matta let him go up and down like 12 times? So you don't get that freewheeling guard. Like Chris Dunn's been surprising, but D'Angelo Russell comes in, and now you're like, okay, dude, in the NBA, you need to be really like the quarterback.
Yeah.
He'd never been a quarterback in college.
That's a great point.
Thad's the quarterback.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so Paul George, if I said to you, All-Star break, where's he playing?
I'm still going to say, I may be wrong. I'm still going to say Cleveland.
That's what I think.
I'm going to say Cleveland. And I don't dislike your theory. I don't know that LeBron is, in Butler's ear, hey, don't come here. But
LeBron wants Paul George.
They do like both.
Yeah, but Butler doesn't match up with Durant.
I agree. I would take Paul George. And I also heard that they'll have some interest in Tony Allen.
For what?
Well, just as a free agent. As not necessarily a starter, but I like that. If they get Paul George and you bring in Tony Allen as a defensive.
No. That's
defender.
a real team.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, a defender. So,
now
he's not a huge pickup, but he's a good pickup.
I can play Tony Allen 18 minutes against Steph Curry.
Oh, yeah.
He's physical as heck.
Yep. And he's giving Golden State problems in the playoffs with Memphis. So, I'm going to say George ends up in Cleveland. And again, Cleveland's confident that if they get him there and you go to the final, we know they're going to the finals, you win it or you lose in a tough series, that they think they'll keep him.
7 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, 4 Pacific, Fox Sports Radio, Broussard, Gottlieb, Meta on their draft show. Good seeing you, bud.